in memory of a really wonderful guy who was the dean of news reporting in Los Angeles, Rick Orloff. Rick passed away yesterday, and today, in calling this meeting to order in his memory, and to honor what a fantastic guy he was, I'd like to take a moment of silence. Thank you. Before we call the roll, I'd like to announce the color guard by the Rampart Cadets. Welcome.
Place your right hand over your heart. Turn your feet after me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Let's thank the cadets. Those are 4 of 6,000 cadets in Los Angeles. Young people who care about this city in a positive way and care about themselves and their families and their communities in a positive way. And we're so lucky to have them in our lives. Madam Secretary, please call the roll.
Let the record reflect we have Commissioners Soboroff, Figueroa Villa, Kim, and Salzman are present, and we have a quorum. Number 1 on the agenda, introductory commission comments.
Comments? I think that we'll just do a brief introduction. Then I would like to ask the council member to make his comments and remarks, because we're really pleased, Councilman, that you're able to be here. Commissioner?
Yeah, my name is Sandra Figueroa Villa, and I was appointed by Mayor Garcetti to the commission. But welcome to my neighborhood. I am the executive director of El Centro del Pueblo, and we've worked with many kids. I've been here since my young adult life and most of all my adult life. We've And I want to recognize I see some of my staff here in the audience, so I want to welcome them, Robert and Lydia,
Let them stand up. Let us see them.
Stand up. Staff from El
Right.
Centro. They really make the magic happen in the community, so I can, sit here and do a lot of this. So welcome.
Hi, I'm Kathleen Kim. I was also appointed by Mayor Garcetti in August 2013. I'm very pleased to be here. I live close by in that part of Council District 4 that's adjacent to this area, and I interact with this area quite a bit. And I'm a law professor at Loyola Law School. We run an immigrant justice clinic there, and we interact also with Rampart Division. I want to thank Councilmember O'Farrell, the community center here, and all the members of the department here who are facilitating the meeting tonight, and I look forward to all the community comments. Thank you.
Mr. Saltzman?
Thank you. Excuse me. My name is Rob Saltzman. I was appointed to the commission in 2007 by Mayor Antonio
Villaraigosa.
sorry, by Mayor Villaraigosa.
You forgot.
Thank you. And I've been pleased to continue under Mayor Garcetti and happy to serve with the commission. I teach during the day at USC at the law school where I've been since the early 1980s. And I live in Hollywood Division, although a number of occasions I've lived in Los Feliz as well. It's great to be here. I look forward to hearing from all of you. Thank you.
Our Executive Director of the Los Angeles Police Commission is Richard Teefank. Mr. Teefank?
Good evening. I'm the Executive Director of the Police Commission. In that role, I'm the Chief Executive for the Commission and facilitate the business of the Commission and ensure that the things that they direct the department do get done, and work in concert with the department, with Mayor's office, council offices. I deal with Councilmember O'Farrell quite frequently, and the Chief Legislative Analyst and Chief Administrative Officer of the city.
A little bit about your background, Mr. Teefank?
Yes, I'm a retired police officer. I spent 33 years as a police officer. I was a police chief in 2 cities. Upon retiring in 2001, I worked for then Bill Lockyer, who was the Attorney General of the state of California for 2.5 years. And since December 2003, I've been with the Board of Police Commissioners and Executive Director since June of 2004.
The Inspector General for the Los Angeles Police Commission is Alex Bustamante. Mr. Bustamante.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Alex Bustamante. I'm the Inspector General for the Los Angeles Police Commission. My responsibilities are to be the eyes and ears of the Police Commission and do the oversight of the department. We look at everything from risk management issues to the department's uses of force. My team of investigators and auditors do not work for the department. I'm fully independent from the department and have no reporting requirements to the chief or anyone within the department. And I give my counsel and my investigations to the commission and make public reports as well.
Okay, thank you. Would the City Attorney like to say anything? A little introduction.
Good evening. My name is Carlos De La Guerra. I'm an Assistant City Attorney and the Police Commission legal advisor and also an attorney for the Police Department. I've been an attorney for the department for about 15 years.
Great. Council member?
Mr. President, we have 2 public speakers on item number 1.
You have to introduce yourself. Okay. First, I have to introduce myself. I'm Steve Soboroff. I was appointed by Mayor Garcetti. I've been involved with Big Brothers for 47 years. Been involved with the Weingart Foundation in the communities for many years. I was a Parks Commissioner here in Los Angeles, and love this community like I love all communities in Los Angeles, and see opportunities and see the benefits of and importance of great community policing in a community like this. As far as the public comment cards, we have public comments where you can speak about any topic. If you are putting in a public comment card on specific topics, you need to speak to that topic. Otherwise, the city attorney will ask you to not speak and then do your speech during public comments. The microphone is for speaking, and the rest of us will listen when someone has the mic. So we have, before the council member, we have, did you say we have 2? Okay.
Jim McQuiston And Mr. Herman?
Would you prefer it be on item 3, sir? Okay.
Mr. Herman?
Mr. Commissioners and Inspector General, I'm here to express under the comment tonight that there be no adversity to disrupt me from censorship as in the past. I hope that we can all become a part of a solution rather than a problem. And as you see, I am unarmed and slow in breath. Incidentally, though, I'd like to remind you as a body overseeing the public's interest is that you will respect our rights under the Brown Act, 54950 to 54963, without the hindrance of your interruptions. We're not all here as paid speakers, as you hear me speak. So I wish to include the cooperation of every individual, and that is you as commissioners, to acknowledge our right under the First Amendment and the Constitution that we will continue to have freedom of expression without the hindrance or civil right violations, nor have the adverse discrimination based on censorship here tonight. So thank you for being here this evening. It's a change from the AM. I salute all Americans, all our vets, and to the integrity of homeless people, I'm sure that you will do your best as a board to respect the integrity and ethics of all. Thank you.
Council member, welcome, sir. No time clock for the council member.
Thank you, but I will be very brief because I know the meeting needs to get going. Chief Beck, Director Tiefenk, Inspector General Bustamante, honorable commissioners volunteering your time to make sure that this city remains safe. I greet all of you this evening and wholeheartedly welcome you to the incredible community of Echo Park. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome. Welcome all of you. Echo Park is a very, very special place. I became very familiar with this community over 20 years ago when I did a couple of years of volunteer work here. And to be standing at this privileged place here in early February of 2015 as the city council member representing this district is a very, very special moment. So I'm very pleased that the commission meeting is being held here tonight. I also want to acknowledge the incredible work of Chief Pratt of Rampart Division. I know, Chief, I saw you earlier. I'm not sure where you are now, but you're a wonderful partner, you and the Rampart Division, the incredible work that you do. There's a reason why over the past 11, 12 years, Part 1 crimes have been reduced by over 50% in the Rampart Division. And it takes everyone working together. It takes all of the support work, all of the community policing, all of the incredible work by our senior lead officers, our cadets, the mentoring programs that you so worthwhile in a worthwhile way endeavor for our youth. It takes all of that, and it also takes the occasional criticism. But that's what makes it all work the best. And so I want to just thank all of you for coming tonight. I hope that we have a very constructive commission hearing this evening. And let's keep Los Angeles moving in the right direction, because it certainly is. And I really tip my hat to all of you. And to the commission, the fact that you meet so often and it's all volunteer, I really do believe that the commission deserves a hearty round of applause.
That's a first.
Well, you deserve it. So thank you, and have a very constructive, great meeting. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
We have one public comment On item number 2, Mr. Herman.
Councilwoman Farrell, great presentation. However, the incidents involving most of our communities, which are minorities, such as in CD 13, CD 14, and I can go on, but I'm not going to exhaust my breath on it. All I can say is that with respect to law enforcement on both sides, that they have a very difficult job in dispute to the problems happening throughout the city of Los Angeles, and that involves the problems of crime, statistics, adequate reports by no one more special in my heart than Charlie Beck, that the true identity of data and a matrix for reporting is open with transparency and not with clause for speculation and adversity by the public. So, Mr. O'Farrell, continue your process at City Hall. Don't forget the people that voted you in are the same people that can vote you out. We're all interested in good policing, excellent community outreach, and more specifically, Mr. Soboroff, we're looking for transparency without interference. Thank you. Good night.
Good night.
Item number 3, the report of the Chief of Police, Chief Beck.
Good evening, Commissioners. Good evening to everybody that came here, and thank you very much for being here. You know, LA is a big city made up of 21 geographic divisions, and the one we're in tonight is called Rampart. Rampart was the first place I ever worked as an employee of the Los Angeles Police Department, and the first place I ever worked as a police officer. Matter of fact, I was a reserve officer here, then a probationary officer, and I later came back to be the captain. And while every division is special to me, just like with Commissioner Soboroff, this one will always be my home. And as a matter of fact, next month will be the 40th anniversary of the first day I walked through the doors of the old Rampart Station on Temple Street. And the neighborhood has changed dramatically, and I think it's changed for the better. It's a very strong community, one that sees itself as a community, even though it is constantly in change. But it is a great place to work. It's a great place to be a cop. I know many of the police officers that are here, and they have worked Rampart many of them for their entire careers, and they're here because they want to be. They're here because they feel a part of this community, and so Rampart's a special place. I'm proud to be here. This past Friday, I went back east, and I spoke at the President's Task Force on 21st Century Policing. It's a group of individuals that President Obama put together to look at policing issues across America, particularly those issues of governance and of trust. And I talked on both issues and spent a lot of time talking about this police commission and its role in oversight of the police department. I'm the general manager of the police department. I run day-to-day operations. I supervise the 13,000 employees that make up the Los Angeles Police Department. But the policy body and the oversight is this commission. And as was mentioned, it's a civilian commission appointed by the mayor, approved by the council, and it has a very, very strong role in making sure that this police department is accountable and responsible to the public that it serves. That role has many, many layers. I won't go into all of them because this is a meeting for other things. But it is a model that was of great interest to the President's Commission. And I think that one of the recommendations from that commission will be that similar models that incorporate not only a robust policy body, but also an inspection arm, just like as in the Inspector General, that is independent of the police department will be replicated across America. It's a very complicated system, but the checks and balances are well worth the complication. So I was proud to represent the city of Los Angeles, and they were most interested in the commission. And then they were also interested on the way that we build trust. And one of the ways we build trust is through this body, and is through meetings just like this to talk about the issues of the day and the future of Los Angeles and the future of its police department. And this Monday, I had the Deputy Secretary of Homeland Security at the police building, and Ali Mayorkas, and we talked about a number of things, but one of them was the priority enforcement program, which I know is of great interest to this community. That is the successor to Secure Communities. We have a number of things that are of importance that we talked about, and I made a number of suggestions about ways that they could improve this new system. And one of those suggestions was to seek the support of the community. And so that is exactly what Deputy Secretary Mayorkas told me he would do. And as a matter of fact, he talked about an organization that is centered in Rampart, that he is specifically dialoguing with and will seek the approval from for their enforcement priorities in the city of Los Angeles, and that's CHIRLA. So I thought that was a very good meeting. That is one that is right on topic with the concerns of this community, and the federal government is listening. So we will have more meetings, more discussions, but I think it's important that you know that in these discussions that affect national policy, the city of Los Angeles leads the way. And it's not because of me, it's because of this body, our council, and the way that we work together in concert to achieve these goals. Normally, I do a report on crime. I'll do a little bit on that, but I know that we're going to have a presentation by Rampart, and crime is a very local issue. I know you'll be anxious to hear from your area captain, and that will be our primary crime report. We're 1 month into the year. We have an increase in crime compared to last January. Last January was a very good month in the city of Los Angeles for crime, so we have a difficult comparison. We're up about 9%. That's about 700 total crimes in a city of 4 million. So we are working through a number of strategies, and many of those will become more apparent as we push forward. Personnel strength of the police department is right at 9,900. We started a class of almost 50 this past week, so we're very anxious to continue to replace those that retire and keep the strength of the police department at optimum levels. I normally report on traffic. We've had very good traffic stats for the first month, but comparing 1 month to a month a year ago is a difficult way to look at these things. We really need a little more time in the year before I report those statistics, but traffic is progressing well. And that concludes my report.
Thank you, Chief.
We have 3 public comment speakers. Jim McQuistion.
Jim McQuiston. As you may or may not know, I'm a member of the Rampart CPAP.
Welcome, sir.
One of the questions that I have often wondered about in the CompStat figures, which I constantly look at, by the way, I can't figure out how we are doing on license plate identification, which was going to be one of the big technological feats. And several people, let's say many years ago, actually went out on patrols with the cars equipped that way. And right away, people were picked up with stolen cars. And I just wondered if we couldn't work that into CompStat so that we know how we're doing on that. Because as a budget hawk, I'm also looking to see how effective the budget is as far as technology is concerned.
Thank you, sir.
Mr. Herman?
Good evening, Chief Beck. It is alarming to say that Echo Park is not involved with the violence that impacts us all. But the violence in Los Angeles has not decreased, but the adversity has increased. I can bring up one reason I say this. Although Paul Koretz assaulted me in October, that's off topic, irrelevant, because that wasn't violence. That was extreme violence, attacking a public speaker, one Hebrew to another Jew. But in regards to assaults, I find the drama of the statistics incorrect. We all read the paper and we're all on Facebook and we hear of incidents of crime and violence, robberies. Look at the little poor dog Charlie who got robbed in Beverly Hills. That's just one of many, 2000s. And what about the city of Los Angeles offering $50,000 awards? $50,000 awards for what? Hit and run. We've become the hit and run capital of the world. HollywoodHighland.org, John Walsh will always say, snitches get stitches. And now our children are saying snitches get stitches because the city of Los Angeles has allowed the process of rewards. And brought up during council today by Paul Krikorian, a $250 measly citation for eyesores of graffiti. Please, for the record, note
Thank you.
the citations and awards.
Mr. John Walsh?
Welcome, Mr. Walsh.
Thank you. John Walsh, blogging at HollywoodHighlands.org. This neighborhood, for 25 years, I was a substitute teacher, so I was in this neighborhood quite often. Okay, Walsh Confidential, HollywoodHighlands.org. Crime stats. Okay, when the crime stats were going down, the police took a good bow. When the crime stats started going up, 2014 over 2013, you questioned the crime stats. In fact, you are right. I do not blame, and none of us blame, the LAPD for the crime wave. This is because MA has gotten an enormous amount of money coming through heroin dealing in Mexico, and they are swamping the police. Remember, this is just a small police force. Now, Garcetti and the rest of the politicians, they don't see MA. All they're interested in is you getting the numbers down. And I want you to know that, as you know, I criticize the LAPD, but then again, I come from New York where 100% of the cops are corrupt, 100%, okay? So you people, LAPD is angels compared to what we get what we got in New York for 21 years. Again, the crime stats. Remember, if someone breaks into your home tonight and steals your television, that is no longer a felony. That is a misdemeanor, and they'll be out in 2 or 3 days to break in again. That's because it was on the ballot and the white people voted for it, west of La Brea, where the white people live, and have contempt for anyone who's brown or black. HollywoodHighlands.org.
Item number 4, the report of the Executive Director, Mr. Teefank.
Good evening, Mr. President, members of the Commission and public. Just a very brief item to remind the public, the Commission does meet every Tuesday morning at 9:30 a.m. at 100 West 1st Street at the Police Administration Building. And our next regular scheduled meeting will be next Tuesday at 9:30 a.m. And I already did my other comments previous, Mr. President.
We have one public comment card, Mr. John Walsh. Item number 5, the report of the Inspector General, Mr. Bustamante.
Thank you, Commissioners. I have nothing else to add from prior comments.
We have 3 public speakers on this item. Mr. Herman.
Mr. Inspector General, based on your earlier comments, you said you were going to use the law to investigate and advise any public's inquiry to our comments. I, for the record, had made comments addressed towards you and to you regarding assault towards individuals throughout the city who are victimized by misuse of their political position for what? Power and what? Insult to the public. So I'm pretty positive after our conversation last week, for the record, that you're going to continue that IA investigation, that my allegations are not simply a smear in my face, but rather you're going to take the action as Inspector General for the safety and health of the public to investigate my issue under the assault by Paul Koretz, District 5, a public official. And you, the public, are hearing it for the first time. This happened in 2013, October, 2 hours and 13 seconds on public record, where I was grabbed for simply speaking and raising a criticism that any child would say. We all enjoy watching Nickelodeon, and Peppa Pig is not something of an insult. It's a lesson to learn that stories tell the truth behind the facts, see the action, and please continue that investigation on my behalf. Thank you.
Mr. John Walsh.
John Walsh, blogging at jwalshconfidential.wordpress.com. The last time I was here was right after the Da Vinci fire, which incidentally, the LAPD said at that time, that day, was not criminal. In fact, the FBI is now investigating everything I said about the fire. It was malicious arson. But the Inspector General got, although he wasn't in the building, the Da Vinci building, he got locked out of his office for a couple of days. That's how the fire spread. And I would like to say to the Inspector General, I want to ask you not to do something. Do not waste your valuable time on an investigation of Chief Beck concerning the confessed leader of La M.A., who was invited to a meeting downtown to talk to some leaders downtown. You did nothing wrong, Chief Beck. You did everything right. You did everything right. This man has a lot of information that we need. We need to encourage these gangsters to spill their guts the way Enriquez did, not harass them. Now, Mr. Soboroff, I don't know why you're attacking Beck. And also, but you're hooked in with Garcetti. And let me tell you right now, if you want really cheap cocaine, you can get it discounted at City Hall directly from, that's right, the Mexican Mafia. And I've been saying this for a long time, and so far I haven't been shot. And remember, if I'm shot, they did it. HollywoodHighlands.org.
Mr. Tyree Williams.
Hello, my name is Tyree Williams, and I was shot by LAPD in
Welcome,
the back
sir.
in 2006, and I'm still trying to get information on my case, as well as my friend case. Mr. Inspector General, Mr. Bustamante, please, I would like information. They say this is the overview for, I would like you to really check these guys. These are your people in your department, you stand for justice. I want you to, really, stand for justice. These guys are corrupted in your department. Please, step up and I like good cops. I do not like bad cops. Please, you get these bad cops out of there. We got people who are getting murdered, and we're not getting any information about what's going on here in our city. And you say that, crime is up or down, and I want to know why these people are coming up dead, and the LAPD is involved, and nobody's getting, convicted. What's going on, Inspector General? Please step up and, do something. Eric Garcetti, Mr. Beck, all due respect, he wasn't here. When I got shot, it was that guy, Mr. Bratton. He's in New York. I need to talk to that guy as well, because these guys are turning a blind eye. Please don't turn a blind eye anymore. I'm tired of you guys turning a blind eye. I want justice. Please, Mr. Bustamante, I know you stand for justice. Please, this is my friend. I got shot in my back, and my friend is dead now. Please, I want some answers. Please, I want somebody give me some answers. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Okay.
Item number 6, the verbal presentation and update from Commanding Officer of the Rampart area and the Community Police Advisory Board representative.
Welcome. Thanks for coming.
Thank you, Commissioner. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Police Commission, my name is Captain Brian Pratt. I'm the Area Commanding Officer here at the Rampart Community on behalf of my staff at the Rampart Station, many of them here tonight. My illustrious CPAB group to my left, this is their nightly meeting, so they're happy to be here and enjoying it. And to my martial arts students in the back, we welcome you to the Rampart community.
Let's slow down for a second. Where are the students?
They're standing to the back and to the right, the martial arts students.
Where are you guys?
Welcome.
Welcome.
Thank you for acknowledging
and
that.
You said, how many other CPAB? Do you have other CPAB members
My CPAB members are right here.
Can you stand, please? Thank you for your service.
Thank you. Thank you very much, sir. A quick introduction, Rampart CPAB was created in 1993, and this Rampart community, which currently consists of 5.6 square miles, we had a population back in 2010 of about 164,000. We're clearly well above 200,000 now in the Rampart community. Your Rampart community station consists of 303 employees, 20 of which are civilians, 270 are sworn, and 10 of those are very energetic and hard-charging reserve officers. As you know, Rampart has several well-known landmarks such as Echo Park, MacArthur Park, and the homes of Angelino Heights. But tonight I really want to touch on what the Commission was looking for, and that is crime statistics, community partnership, and significant Rampart community activities conducted through the CPABs. And a quick 2014 snapshot of crime. Rampart worked very hard this last year in focusing on violent crime, and we were able to knock it down by almost 1%. It may not sound like much, but when you look at what 1% is, it's 108 less victims of robberies in the streets of Rampart. Rampart also reduced their overall gang crime by 20% this last year. Rampart did struggle in battle, like many other divisions in the city, in battling property crime, which are your burglaries, your vehicle break-ins, and your petty thefts. Rampart, again, set some lofty goals for this coming year to try to reduce Part 1 crime by another 1%. But I'm really going to focus on the violent crime in the city, especially in the Rampart area. By doing that, we're going to increase my community education programs, safety awareness, and really expanding on the social media component, which I have in my division, which I'll touch on shortly. Moving on with those goals, I'm going to push to increase the CPAB membership, which we've already grown since last year. And we're going to really push out to the community business owners in the city. I've had 3 new joins to the not only boosters but the CPABs, but from some cornerstone businesses that are starting in Rampart. I'm also going to push more activities out this year in the division, starting with the station open house in June, Special Olympics, which we are participating with our cadets in July, the Standard National Night Out August this coming year, Shoes for Santa, which was a great success this year, Christmas Toy Drive again, and another event at the Blind Children's Center. When we talk about extending our youth programs, as you see in the back, the martial arts students there, we have 75 of those students currently at Rampart Station. They meet on Mondays and Wednesdays. It's a great training program conducted by Dr. Frank DeGorville, and there in the back, waving at you right now. He's a great mentor and guider for these young children at Rampart, and he continues to grow the enrollment in the martial arts program. We're also initiating a small business and finance class for minors, which is sponsored by Chase Bank out of the Rampart area. It's going to teach the kids financial responsibility, basics of checkbook balancing, and how to keep themselves free of financial issues. We are initiating again this year another community computer lab in February of this year for the community. Community members can sign up on 2 different occasions. We'll be conducting 2-week computer labs for them to work on. Another thing I'm focused on is pedestrian and bike safety and skateboard safety in the Rampart community. So we have a planned bike and safety and skateboard class coming in the spring. Also another planned community safety class. I want to let you speak to my partner, Bertha Woolridge, quickly. She's going to run through what we do in the CPAB.
Captain, one question. As you increase your CPAB membership, tell me about the diversity of your CPAB in relation to you have a very, very diverse community.
We do have a very diverse community. We have many representatives of the community. It's very diverse. I'm reaching out and this year pushing for some younger business owners to come into the CPAB. It's a struggle and it's a fight, but I have a Mr. Sokol who's coming over from Pacific Division. He's opening a brand new cornerstone business at 7th and Bonnie Bray. He's joining both our CPABs and our boosters. Ricky Strickland, who is the president of Occidental Studios, which is just south of the old Rampart Station, is joining into the boosters and to the CPABs. And we are looking to increase our youth and our younger business owners in the CPAB. So that is our focus.
Good. We have a martial arts guys. You guys want to come up over here and stand facing this way so you can see what we're seeing, and we'd like to see a little bit about you guys. Want to say anything? Yeah.
Good evening, folks. Good evening. We're just going to take about 2 minutes of your time. Short demonstration. Class. Let's see. What? Freeze. Say pumps. Order pumps. Foot brake twist. School philosophy. Begin.
A martial artist is one who is well disciplined. He or she listens and thinks at all times. They utilize their mental, physical, and spiritual abilities to maximum results out of their compassion. They possess speed, warmth, and peace, power, and gracefulness. Cranium, zygomatic, maxillum, mandible, cervical vertebrae, sternum, column, sternum, humerus, lumbar, radius, carpal, nerve corpus, phalange, sternum, cartilage, ilium, pelvis, femur, patella, tibia, fibula, calcaneus, tarsal, metatarsus, phalange, column, sacrum.
Sir, every one of those bones in my body aches. That's all I can tell you. They're all stiff.
This is just a basic requirement just to get your white belt. Okay, our program is very high. It's for high. It's the Institute for Higher Education. Class. Ready position? Ready stand. Up.
Yeah.
Basic blocks. Downward block first. Ready? Up.
Yeah.
Up.
Yeah.
Rising block. Up.
Yeah.
Up.
Yeah.
In the middle block. Up.
Yeah.
Up.
Yeah.
Out the middle block. Up.
Yeah.
Up.
Yeah.
That is. Ready position? Kata 1, type 1. The kata is a meditation in motion, so it teaches the kids how to stay focused. Ready? Kata 1, type 1. Begin. And these kids only been with us for 2 years. We got, since we've been here 5 years, we have promoted over 20 black belts.
Wow.
Okay? And those black belts are now in college. Most of them on scholarships. That is. Good job. Give them a hand. to talk about. So we thank you for your time and the opportunity. Thank you again.
Thank you, Doctor.
Commissioner, did you have a question?
Yeah, Captain Pratt, I know when I was there during Christmas, some of your business members were talking about raising funds for a community center, so they have a place to practice. So where are they practicing? And that's not in your goals, I see.
Actually, they have in the community room where you saw the Christmas event. It's a very large practice area. They have mats that we keep in the storage room there, and they practice in there. And they practice on Mondays and Wednesdays. And the expansion of another, we have to find a different location. But currently, they're very well housed in there, and they're in the station. They're safe. They're secure. Their parents can leave them there with the conscience of knowing that their kids are protected by the police while they're being trained by Dr. Frank.
You mentioned how, the important the business of the commission and the business of the chief is, but I can assure you that nothing is more important to us than the future of this great city. And the positive and the discipline that you bring to that at your young ages give us all hope. And you're very important to us. Thank you for what you're doing.
So good evening again. My name is Bertha Wooldridge. I am the CPAP co-chair. The mission of the advisory board is to promote and assist with community policing, to discuss how the citizens of the community of Rampart area can possibly affect the quality of life within their own communities. We met in the first Tuesday of the month, location Good Samaritan Hospital, 637 Lucas Avenue, second floor, Sequoia Room. The CPAF consists of 19 board members. Majority of our members assist in other volunteers, activities, programs within the Rampart area. Senior lead officers are in attendance in each meeting. We will coordinate guest speakers to provide important information to board members to take back to their responsible areas. We have the following committees. We have the Crime Committee, the Traffic Committee, the Youth Committee, and the Membership Committee. The Crime Committee develops partnership between the police and the community to address specific crime and quality of life issues. Coordinates training and networking with local property owners and building managers and topics such as graffiti, burglaries, auto-related crime, gang awareness, and homeless issues. The Traffic Committee provides advice and ideas for improving traffic flow on the street parking within the Rampart area. Coordinate training with community members and local traffic laws and ordinance with the implementation of traffic safety goals. Rampart Traffic Liaison Sergeant has been positioned in each WASH. The Youth Committee inspires social media following by Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. The Youth Committee works with Rampart areas in the following ways: Police Activity League, PAT programs, cadets programs, youth volunteers, and youth CPAPs. And we got our beautiful activities. Go ahead.
Commission, just to round it out, she talks about youth committees, and the biggest way we communicate with youth is social media. When I reported to you last year, we had barely gotten over 2,800 members on Facebook from around the community and the surrounding areas. We're already up to 4,191, so we're pushing that forward. Twitter itself has gone from 3,800 up to 5,500 on the Rampart Twitter.
Wow.
It follows our Rampart station. My Twitter has gone from 200 up to 800 people following my Captain block, where I put messages out to the community. And the one we really found the kids and the community members really use is Instagram, which has gone from 4,100 up to 62, almost 6,300 since July of this year. So It's the tool I use more than hanging flyers on windows and stuff like that, because people actually turn their phones on and look at what we're sending to them. So when you're asking what we're doing with the social media, that's what we're doing. Quickly, you asked about significant community events in 2014. The ones I'll touch on, we had the National Night Out August 5th this year. Some of my police commission members were there, city council members. It's a huge event nationally. We had over 5,000 people in the front of Rampart Station celebrating the community, celebrating the youth, and celebrating drug awareness. I believe it was probably the largest in the city with over 5,000 people. Other thing is open house, where the community got to tour the station. We gave over 300 turkeys for the Thanksgiving turkey giveaway, the blind children's giveaway. We gave away 4,000 presents this last year. When Commissioner Figueroa was there with us at the station, Chief Beck was there. We had 4,000 donated gifts from the community, the Rampart community and the surrounding business communities that care about the children of Rampart, which is really where our focus is in the future. And also the Shoes for Santa giveaway. The first year Rampart participated in that, spearheaded by the Chief and Chief McCarthy. We were able to get 1,000 pairs of shoes donated to the community, which we were able to share with the children at night. So, each one of these events takes countless hours, tons of work, a lot of planning by all my senior lead officers, the sergeants, the officers who work within my community relations office. Chief Beck has been gracious enough to allow the personnel levels in the department to change, where I was able to hire 3 new police officers in my community relations office this year. So our plan is to expand and grow even more this coming year with the...
And then I cannot tell you how great our senior lead officers are working with us hand by hand in all this event. We are work hand by hand hours since May. We practice these meetings and go there and go here and everywhere. Do you know how it takes to get 5,000 people in front of the station? It takes us from May on contact our senior lead officers. They all contact the schools. They are great. They work hand by hand with us, and we really appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you to all of them. Quickly, Commission, trying to get you through this. Our community involvement also involves a neighborhood watch, which the senior leads are pushing and working on. We have a community police academy, which will be occurring before June of this year, like we did last year, where members come in and they go through a community police academy, which brings them familiarization with the department's function, the division's function, the functions of detectives and officers in the field. So it gives them much more of a transparent understanding of what we do out there. So it's not so behind the door. They know that it's not the front desk of the station. They know what goes on everywhere in that station because it's their community station. We have a very vibrant reserve officer program. I have 10 reserve officers active at Rampart. 2 of them are district attorneys. One of them is a sitting judge in California Superior Court. So I have a very vibrant reserve program. I have a very energetic chaplain, Father Michael Cooper, who's a retired deputy sheriff and now a Catholic priest who is very energetic in our station and in the community with helping us with community events. As you saw with our youth in the back, our martial arts program, our focus is the community youth of Rampart. It doesn't take anybody just to drive down the street and see kids everywhere in a Rampart community, so we're always reaching out to them, finding different ways to make their lives better, safer, and improve them. We have a Rampart Cadet program at Rampart, which you mentioned earlier, sure. We have over 90 active cadets at Rampart, 22 more in the Rampart Cadet Academy, or the Police Cadet Academy at this time, so we'll be boosting our numbers even more. We have a student volunteer program. We have over 20 students that volunteer or work at the station, at the front desk, helping with detective work in the upstairs area, which makes it alleviates the officers from doing more important things in the field. In closing, Rampart Station we're plowing through the 21st century. We're plowing into 2015 with those goals I've mentioned. We look forward to the challenge with Bertha and the rest of the CPABs, improving things even more. And I invite everybody in this police commission to follow us. Follow us on Rampart Station on Facebook, on Twitter, on Instagram, because we are Rampart's police station. We are their community cops. We're transparent, and we're here to serve them. So thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
We have 5 public comment speakers for this item. Mr. Herman.
like to thank the children and their master instructor. Thank you for the excellent job you've done with the children. It's obvious that you are a great educator and not just a teacher. Thank you. So, commissioners, as we see that the resources needed by whatever means, as opposed to using the process of rewards, we can sacrifice a small amount of money if we would utilize City Hall and yourselves to contribute to the efforts of making programs like this work. It's just an idea and emotion on my part. But addressing the eyes and ears and risk management and partnership in regarding community-initiated problem solving, isn't it obvious that why we're all here? We're trying to communicate with you for solutions, and these solutions require your competence to work with the public, not ostracize us from public comment. So, as you observed the children, observe the rights of your citizens, the citizens that you have the power to control by this commission, the actions of law enforcement, so that we can set the example to the CPAB instructors to inculcate them into our children so that in the future and the future to come, we will have the best resource of people to go to for initiating programs like this. Thank you.
Mr. John Walsh.
John Walsh. I moved here in 1966. And if you were interested in Rampart and the LAPD, the only thing you could watch would be Dragnet. They'd be on Dragnet. I know that Mr. Tefak was involved in Dragnet at one point. Crime stats. Okay, let's be honest. You have changed the definition of assault. If somebody beats the heck out of me here outside, that can be a misdemeanor now. Before, it used to be automatically a felony. In fact, felonious assault now means you have to go to the hospital. In other words, crime goes down when the definitions of statistics change. And I like to say that one thing is, of course, you never see any African Americans in this neighborhood, because if they did, MA would execute them. Okay, in Hollywood, blacks and Hispanics are allowed to mix. Here, no black gang members are allowed in this territory because this is MA territory, okay? They're the ones that get to sell the drugs. HollywoodHighlands.org.
Mr. Kwasi Nkrumah.
Good evening. My name is Kwasi Nkrumah. I'm the president of the Greater Echo Park Elysian Neighborhood Council. Echo Park is an area that is in great transition, and it has a lot of contrary tendencies that are affecting our stakeholders. In regard to Ramparts and the Ramparts Division and some of its negative history, there's some heritage of that still left over in this area that still requires some serious work, I would say. We also are an area, one of the areas in the city where property values have shot through the roof, and there's a land grab, a land rush going on in this area. One of the things that is creating is a lot of pressures from those who want the land in this area to move people out of this area who've been here for a long time. I was elected not by a small margin last year. I was elected by a margin of something like 250 people, where the previous president of our neighborhood council was elected by a margin of 1 vote. And I think that that was a significant statement in an environment where most people just don't vote even for the mayor, the governor, or anybody else anymore. We have a lot of concerns because, for one thing, we have not had any representation from the Ramparts or Northeast Division at our regular neighborhood council meetings since our elections. And this seems very strange to me with all the discussion going on about trust building and community outreach and so forth and so on. And it seems to me that under the city charter, given the role of neighborhood councils, that the neighborhood council deserves to be consulted, updated, etc., by the divisions in our area. And I would like to request Chief Beck and this commission and the Inspector General to correct that situation. Thank you.
Mickey Curtis.
Welcome.
Hi, I live in Rampart Division and have a shop just across the way, and my daughter goes to this school here. And I've noticed more crime, but the smaller crimes, shoplifting. I've had my mail stolen from my house, the front of my house, several times. So small crimes that a lot of people don't really report. And we're talking about community here, and I had some ideas how we can involve the community with these smaller crimes. And a couple of them would be maybe for a database for shop owners, because I don't report those little thefts, but on my camera I have about at least 100 pictures of people that have stolen from my store, and I would like a database or somewhere to share that. So that's one idea. And if we could have more beat officers, again, we're talking about community. So if we could have more beat officers really walking around and getting to know the businesses and the people and the schools and the neighborhood councils, that would be helpful as well. And cameras at the library, although that is across the Northeast Division, we're really cameras at all public libraries, I think would be helpful, because a lot of crime does occur in those areas. And community watch, and if we could have those little placards like all the other neighborhoods do. We're talking about community watch, but I haven't noticed any of those placards. I believe that's all I have. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Captain Pratt will have one of his senior leads talk to you. Right there.
Mr. Vincent Rodriguez.
Welcome, sir.
Welcome. Thank you. Vincent Rodriguez from Echo Park Neighborhood Council. Also lived in the Rampart area all my life. I'm really glad that the Rampart station is here, because this is mostly for them. I came to you guys when the first commissioner got sworn in, and I spoke to you, Mr. President, about bringing a football team here in the Rampart area. And I talked to Officer Larry Convent, and we were trying to do it. For some reason, it died out. So I'm back here. I know it has to do with money. I just heard that you guys paid $100,000 to $250,000 to escort somebody downtown in LA. If I had that money, I could start my football team. But I was in the Watts parade, Martin Luther King, and I also seen the Watts Bears. You guys have the answer to stop the next generations of youth in risk. You just got to bring out that money. I tried. I got involved of the summer night lights that was closed down in our community. I'm in the neighborhood council. I got involved with the police activity league. That didn't work. This big gang injunction issue, let's get together with these gangs and bring them all together and run a football league. We did it when I was growing up. I played against LAPD in the 80s when I was accused of being a gang member. I was a single son from a mother, mother grown up with a single son with a mother, didn't have a father. So I know how to say no to gangs. Why? Because it was around me. But you guys have the answer. You really do have the answer. And it's the football team around here. You know, we could get this going. Please, again, Rampart Police Station, Officer Ford, Northeast Division has not come to one of our meetings in the neighborhood council. If they're trying to get it together, come and join us every fourth Tuesday of the month right here. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you.
We are now on item number 7, the report from the commanding officers, Rampart Area and Operations Central Bureau. We'll have 3 speakers on this item.
Good evening. I'd like to start off, Commissioner Figueroa, you brought up a question for the Rampart PALs. And so regarding the building, and what happened was we had been working with the council office Reyes, and then we're working with Cedillo, trying to get the building across from Rampart Station there. We're trying to secure funding. So what the plan is to move Rampart PALs. The council district would have an office there, and then LAPD would have some offices on the top floor. And jointly, then we would help absorb the costs of the facility there. We also have a commitment from a private person that will build a skate park at the small fenced-in area that's there, because that's actually not part of the park, that's part of the police property that's there. So if we can get the building, and then we'll get the skate park put in. Right now, we're trying to raise the funds for that building through Council District Cedillo's office there. So we lost a little traction. We're trying to still work that through there. It would be optimal, because then what we're looking for is to have Rampart PALs have a totally standalone facility where all the kids can come. We'd be open, looking at having events throughout the day and night, especially in the evening hours when the kids are more at risk. There's nothing really in that area for them. Copying that idea, we're looking for Newton to also get their own PALs building there. Captain Rodriguez is there now, and we've kicked off on that endeavor. Captain Prokop was able to get us into the Pueblos there. We have some funding. We were able to get computers and that. So we're kind of taking a look at the model of Hollenbeck PALs, which is our most successful PALs program that we have. We have Northeast, who now has a boxing PALs program that's in place. They actually have some very good up-and-coming talent. One of their fighters, last fighters that they had, the young man is a highly ranked professional fighter now. So that coach that we have there, that police officer, used to be a former fighter. He's very talented, has a great passion for kids. While the station is being built, we're actually using a temporary facility in Hollenbeck. Hollenbeck PALs is also working with our Hacklet team. We're trying to get into opening up a similar program over by Ramona Gardens. Unfortunately, once the property owners found out, the rent has gone up substantially, so we haven't been able to secure that. So we are looking, ideally, is for each area within the Bureau to have their own standalone facility that would be managed and by the PALs program. We'd help them get them off the ground, and then use the funding for about 5 years, get them in, and then the PALs program would be able to fully sustain the buildings there. So that's what we're looking for. I think that's when you mentioned that to the captain, because I actually started on that before he was there. So we're also looking at expanding the PALs program throughout. We've been fairly successful. If you look at Hollenbeck PALs, their model is they have a paid executive board. The other areas do not have a paid executive board. Their ability to locate a facility will enhance the ability to create funding for them, so to speak. We brought some of the PALs together. We're looking at exploring the possibility of bringing a Bureau PALs program to help raise money for all the PAL programs in the areas. And then when we're approaching folks, we could talk about, hey, we're looking at 88 square miles versus 6 miles or 12 miles and that. So we've had some preliminary discussion that started. We lost some traction on it, but the youth program is something that we're looking greatly at expanding throughout the whole Bureau. We're also looking in terms of expanding of our outreaches. We started working with South Bureau, and we were able to increase the clergy council. One of the things that we strived for this last year was increasing the clergy council throughout the Bureau. And now, as a result of that, and a couple incidents, we started meeting with some clergy councils that we weren't aware of, groups Southern Baptist ministers being one, and we actually want to meet Reverend Hardwick, who actually was the Reverend who proposed the police commission to the police commission years ago about a police clergy council. So we've been able to work with South Bureau, Chief Scott, before it was Chief Green, and so we're working on, even though you have Newton and you have 77 Southeast, is we're starting to work together more collaborative in some of our community outreach. Although we've done that in crime, we haven't necessarily done that as well in our community endeavors. So we're working towards that. Surprisingly, last year, we unfortunately didn't meet our goals in terms of crime. We had almost a 5% increase. It was about just over 1,000 crimes. A little over 700 of those were actually aggravated assaults. What we had expected is maybe in terms of reporting, as the rape had changed, the rape reporting, that we might have an increase. We actually had 130 rapes less than the previous year. So if you take away the 700, we had about 400 crimes overall that we had an increase in. Our goal is, once again, to reduce the crime. Within the Bureau, each of the areas have come up with their own crimes. They're all facing interesting and dynamic situations. We've heard about the growth here in this area. We also have downtown, where there's a huge growth. The business community that's growing. You're looking at, we have about 645 ABC licenses that are downtown right now. And that's comparable to Hollywood in a much more compressed area. The good captain over there, Mike Orb, he has a stack of about 20 more applicants that are coming in. And so it's causing some interesting dynamics for us there. We're taking a look at that because we wanted to check over the last 3 years when we've had this expansion is there any correlation between the increase in crime and the increase in ABC licenses? And we don't believe so, anecdotally, but we're taking a look at that to explore that possibility. Downtown has our greatest population increase throughout the Bureau. That's also something that we believe is impacting our increase in crime through there. One thing that we're excited about is I have a new partner, and then we have 3 new captains coming in. We also have 2 lieutenants that are leaving Central Bureau. One will hopefully be promoted, another one is retiring. And from my staff, and what that is creating is the ability to have new vision, new look at our operations. So one thing that Commander Arcos is going to be working on is taking a look at all our systems, overviewing our processes that we have, to see what we can do better, how we can improve in some of our performance. And that captains coming in, now they're going to be able to get a good look at 3 new areas, bring in some new eyes coming, and then all that, while we're looking at processes, is also going to look to make us more efficient, which will hopefully build trust within the community, expand our community trust, expand our internal trust as we go forward with some of the wellness programs that we're working towards. And then we're also expecting to increase our partnerships. We're in the partnership business, going out and meeting new relationships and building those out. To that extent, our CPABs, the captains are giving me a composition of their CPAB members. We're looking at, expecting that the CPABs all contain at least one educator and at least one person from their clergy within their community. We want to expand our ability in our outreach. One of the things where I think we haven't done as well is working with established community organizations, PTAs, PFAs, Kiwanis, and those clubs. Well, if we make that contact with those organizations, they become our outreach. So we meet with them and we can expand. We're also working, as I say, with the Clergy Council because that's a huge piece for us to be able to reach out to them. So this year, we're expecting to help the chief and bring the city in under crime. The crime goals, we want to see a reduction in crime, increase in our efficiency, increase in our building of trust, and we want to hopefully have a very successful year, especially as we're leading into what we call our special events time, where we'll have several major special events coming to the Bureau. Yeah.
Just to be clear, you're talking about Central Bureau and Rampart is only one division that you oversee,
Yes,
correct? So you see how many divisions?
6 divisions, but 5 areas.
Thank you.
Okay? Good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
We have 4 public comment speakers. The first is Mr. Herman.
It's very interesting that we're asking for a facility to accommodate not just the community, but also involve our police department. I think that's a conflict of interest, because I believe our officers should be separate from the public so that the public can utilize the accommodations of that facility for themselves, so the children and the stakeholders there can enjoy the process of what they're asking. But noticing the increase of 5% crime statistics, it doesn't surprise me that violence in the city of Los Angeles is out of control. And there has to be a blame to the failure and accountability by those taking action of responsibility to care for the public. Very simple. So, CF number 14001646, Mr. Legal Advisor, I'm off topic, for June 4th, 2014 and October of 2014 by Sergeant of Arms, assertive action towards me, and I'm not going to get the detail, and the same perpetrator, Mr. Paul Koritz of the 5th District, for physical assault that you, as a commission board, serving the public, and advisors to the city of Los Angeles must rebuttal on our behalf when it comes to circumstances where we cannot exercise our First Amendment right and the use of the Brown Act at any public meeting like we are experiencing tonight. Thank you, Mr. Delegate.
Mr. John Walsh. Mr. Quasi.
Yeah, I kind of apologize for signing up again, but I find that 2 minutes is too little time to say many things I'd like to say. One of the things I would like to say is that I think that the fall in crime statistics is actually a great tribute to the people in our communities who are living under extremely stressful conditions economically, socially, politically, and otherwise. I think also that one of the things that comes clear to me is that with the fall in crime statistics, the justification for allocating, somewhere between 58 and 70% of our local budget to the police department is a questionable situation. And I think, frankly, that those who are supposed to be protecting and serving us should point this out too. Because if there's going to be this partnership with communities to solve our social problems, we've got to give a lot more money and funding, as Chente, one of our board members said, to social programs that can outreach to youth and to communities and heal some of the fissures that are the cause of dislocation, the cause of discord, and antisocial behaviors in various ways. I think we're very lucky here in Echo Park that we have El Centro del Pueblo. We also have groups like the Youth Justice Coalition, which has been doing incredible work with young people in this community and many others. And I see people here tonight, some of whom are former members of our neighborhood council, but many others who do incredible work in the community for no pay, no recognition, no funding, no backup, no nothing. And this also has had a tremendous impact on reducing the crime statistics in our communities. And this needs to be acknowledged, and something needs to be done to shift some of those resources to some of these sources in our communities. Thank you.
We are now on item number 8, public comment period, and we have 36 public comment speakers. Mr. Herman, Dr. Rick Rodriguez, and Mr. Vincent Rodriguez.
As noted for the record, it is local government, a government of slow progress and corruption, that has been defined as the abuse of public power throughout our social economic communities. It may not be just for private or personal gain of power and misuse of power, but it does have an adversely detrimental effect to all of us in here who have been impacted one way or the other. And there is no scale, Mr. Steve Soboroff, to measure social stability in our communities. As you heard, as many of the speakers, on top of the 36 after me that will come up and speak on public comment. So let us not abuse the services that are rendered to your citizens, as I call them, constituents and stakeholders of Los Angeles, all you Angelinos. But let us remind ourselves of the ridiculous, vicious cycle. The result of government's performance is failure to accommodate social behaviors that, as you heard on my point of view, are questionable. And I'm sure every one of you would probably agree with me that it's time that we, the stakeholders, the Angelinos of Echo Park, Boyle Heights, gain control of those who are appointed by the mayor and who are part of the special interest. Because I know for a fact I will not bow down or yield my sovereignty of the Brown Act to any individual of you under censorship and the Bill of Rights.
Thank you. Next. Welcome, sir.
Hi, my name is Dr. Rick Rodriguez from Pico Union Neighborhood Council and Coalition. I'm not running for office, so I'll make it short and sweet. I gave my documents to you people. I need to really talk to our captain of Rampart first. We were supposed to meet concerning these issues, and we really had the opportunity to really work it out. So I'm going back to the captain. We will work it out. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Still nervous. Here I am again. You know, I have the Police Activity League program here. Please come and help us. Come and join us. We had a vote here on September 17. The neighborhood council voted 15-0 against the gang injunction, but the city attorney still passed that law. So what are we doing here? Are we just sitting here like you guys are sitting here and not going to listen to us? We need attention. We need help. Maybe I might not say this, but I also work for Centro Pueblo. I've been a part of that agency my teenage years, and it kept me away from joining a gang. I grew up my kids from that program. Like Quasi was saying, if we get more money for those programs that work with intervention, because I think they took our money away from intervention, we do more of a prevention program there. But again, it's a money issue, and I wanted to bring that football team here. But like I was saying earlier, that you guys paid money for officers to read this book, when maybe they should be reading this book. There's two different books. Open your hearts to a book, not to your brains, to solve the Emmer problem. We're solving that problem from preventing from kids and joining gangs. That's how you prevent it. Bring some money to us. Bring the money to the Echo Park community, Rampart. I would like to thank Juan for coming here, the director of Echo Park. I basically joined the football league there. I became a coach after 20 years. I came back. We won the league. We went undefeated. We had a lot of parents that want football in this area. So please, please, speak to me after this meeting or during the meeting. Come to our neighborhood councils and let's talk about this. Thank you again.
Mr. John Walsh, Mr. Miguel Ramos, and Noah Salazar.
John Walsh at J. Walsh Confidential. Let me tell you, the more wealthy white people that move in your neighborhood, the more police protection you get. Okay? That's the reality, okay? But I'd like to point out, as I said before, Chief Beck, you are being given a bum rap as far as Rene Enriquez, and you're presenting him to the young presidents. I say 100% in favor of what you did. There should be no investigation of what you did. Captain Downing used to be our police chief, our commander, our captain in Hollywood. He cleaned things up. He's doing a good job. The mayor, Garcetti, is raking you over the coals, and he's doing it with full consent of MA. Do you understand that? MA knows exactly what's going on. They like to see Soborov and Garcetti attack the police. That's what's going on here. And we basically know that you are doing a good job. Look, now I hear there were 800 cops protecting Rene Enriquez. You had 3 jets overhead. They're saying everything. Lies, lies, lies. And you, Inspector General, should find these lies about what happened. And if you want to know the story of the confessed head of MA, read The Black Hand by Chris Blatchford. We want more of MA. What they're doing now is scaring people who might confess and might go to the LAPD. And Garcetti and Soborov are doing that. Stay away. Don't confess, or else you might end up dead. That's what's going on here. And I'm telling you, Garcetti is on their side. HollywoodHighlands.org.
Good evening. My name is Miguel Ramos. I'm a bilingual bicycle safety educator right here in the community and also in the Pico Union area. I just wanted to bring to your attention, I serve a lot of communities, a lot of immigrant communities that lack a lot of resources. And most of these people ride their bike, take the bus, and walk. And a lot of times when I'm giving these workshops, one of their experiences, because I always like to engage in dialogue, one of the experiences that I continue to hear is the policing. The policing of being penalized for riding their bicycle. And it's all the times. I know, as an instructor, I know my rights. And when I tell them the reasons why they're getting pulled over, and it's always for something that, interestingly enough, that often the police officers are violating their rights. And this is an issue that expands beyond transportation, right? And I see it all the time, specifically with the gang injunction put here in Echo Park and across all the city. So I just, my recommendation to you is, why put so much resources in penalizing communities that need resources in growing themselves, right? Like we've heard a lot of people say already, it's these communities need resources. We need resources, and it's hard to see that we're continuing being penalized for practicing a lifestyle that is either healthy or safe, or we want to be productive. But thank you for listening.
Hello. The gang injunction charges people that are already in the system. When in gang injunction, you could be arrested for non-criminal activities. Being born in Los Angeles, also being Chicano, there is a high percentage that you will have a family member, like an uncle or a brother, that are in a gang. So does that mean I am a criminal as well? So are police targeting me as a gang member? The police are just trying to build a prison without walls. My question is, when are humans going to be able to adorn the streets without harassment of the police because we're bald or have tattoos and wear saggy pants? That is why I support YJC campaigns to redirect 1% of police budgets to create 50 youth centers, 500 peace builders instead of police officers or school police, and 2,500 youth jobs. Thank you.
The next three will be Manza G, Tanisha Denard, and Kim. Oh, I'm sorry. I thought it was an N.
Well, my name is Tanisha Denard. I'm also with the Youth Justice Coalition that Noe just talked about. I just want to make a couple points on gang injunctions. One, that with the threat of gang injunction violations, a lot of families don't function like regular families because they're distant from each other, or they're put on restraints of not talking to this person because we're from the same quote-unquote neighborhood or whatever. And also with just regular community involvement, people don't take their children to the park as often because they don't know what other alleged gang member might be at that park and they might get violated or anything for. Also, injunctions affect people's housing. It excludes them from like Section 8 and public housing, which we know most people need in this community. And most of the time, there's families that are staying in certain households, so that leaves a lot of families homeless. And the last thing I want to say is that they just separate families overall because most of the times neighborhoods stick together and families stick together. So when you're putting restrictions on people, you're separating families, telling them you can't talk to your cousin or your brother or, the person that lives next door to you because you're going to go to jail and you might have the risk of getting 10 years added on to whatever you do. So I have some updated statistics for you guys and also some points on the gang injunction, which I just spoke about, because this is a gang injunction area that we're in, which is Echo Park.
Thank you.
Maritza. I'm sorry.
My name is Maritza Galvez. I'm with the Youth Justice Coalition. We're here because you guys are sitting in Echo Park, one of the most recent communities in Los Angeles to get a gang injunction placed on it. We're here as young people who know firsthand that gang injunctions don't work. Data has showed us that this generation is actually the least violent generation since the 1950s, yet we continue to criminalize young people and communities of colors at massive rates and use injunctions as a tool for displacement. When my father immigrated from Guatemala years ago in the 60s, he lived in Echo Park. He moved in with his brothers, and he actually took my mom on her first date to the fountain. He lived here when Echo Park had real issues going on. Ironically, there wasn't an injunction back then. An injunction came around when property values shot up, when boutiques started replacing mom and pop shops, when white people started moving in. The truth of the matter is that the majority of injunctions have been placed in communities where an affluent community is moving into and another one is getting displaced. They are the tool that carves and cleans out the people of color and technically arrests and incarcerates the young people. Echo Park, the Echo Park gang injunction, just like all the gang injunctions in LA, aren't there to protect young people or to bring more safety into the community. They're there to displace them. They're there to build cleaner streets for gentrification to come in, and they're there to basically bring more white people into communities. So no to the Echo Park gang injunction, and I mean, come on, just open your eyes.
Good evening. My name is Kim McGill, also from the Youth Justice Coalition, and I want everyone to stand who's here to oppose the Echo Park area gang injunction. Many of these people have been fighting the gang injunction since it was first declared about a year and a half ago. We didn't beat the injunction in court, but we had such a huge presence coming out. 150 people at the neighborhood council meetings with Echo Park Neighborhood Council voted against the gang injunction. Over 100 people at Silver Lake Neighborhood Council in Silver Lake has also opposed the gang injunction. Yet those real elected officials, their resolutions have gone on deaf ears to City Hall and to the Police Commission. Secondly, Maritza said this, going all the way back to 1982 when injunctions were first put in place. They weren't put in place in the areas of the county and the areas of LA City that were impacted by the most violence, but in the areas of the county where there was the highest concentration of white people or white people moving in. That included the first injunction in LA City going into the Playboy Gangster Crips, the community that was closest to Culver City. We're asking today for a moratorium on gang injunctions. We're asking for an end to the gang injunction in Echo Park, which was put in place when Echo Park was not only getting historic lows in violent crime, but had such low numbers of violent crime that they were told by the mayor's office that they could not have a grid zone, a gang reduction youth development zone, because there wasn't enough violence here. We're asking instead to limit gang injunctions that are in place, including the Echo Park gang injunction, to 2 years, where the city and the police department have to prove that an injunction is needed after that. We're asking that anyone who completes their probation and parole, and anyone who stays without arrest that's gang related for 2 years is automatically removed from gang injunctions. And as you've heard too often, we want the same respect that law enforcement gets, that community members who have been working with young people for generations cannot get a youth center. And yet police officers who already get a huge salary are getting youth centers opened up across the street from police departments. We don't believe, and all of us have proven over and over again for generations, that you don't need to walk into a youth center to be protected when you're in a youth program. You need to walk into a place like Centro del Pueblo. So take 1% of the law enforcement department budget and put it toward positive youth development.
Jerry Dietrich, Taru Williams, Noemi Gill.
Hi, I'm Jerry Dietrich, and I'm with the Stop LAPD Spying Coalition. And I'm sorry I follow Kim because her statistics are always right on. She's really great. I don't know anything about gang injunctions. I'm learning about them. And what I've learned so far, they don't work. So why not scrap them and try something else? And a couple of things that are really glaring to me are that they don't offer a way out. Once you're in an injunction, you're in there for good. You have no chance of growing up and getting legal. Another thing that I've noticed is that former gang members are the ones that help gang people get out of gang stuff. But with these injunctions, they're not even allowed to talk to each other. They're not allowed to be in the same place, and it's just not going to work. It's not possible. Anyhow, now I would like to remind you of our demands for the Police Commission. We order an immediate end to the LAPD Suspicious Activity Reporting Program. Rescind and expunge Special Orders 11, 1, and 17. Terminate the iWatch program. Hold public hearings on LAPD Suspicious Activity Reporting and all other surveillance programs. Use your subpoena powers to investigate our human and civil rights violations resulting from these programs. Shut down and defund fusion centers. Lastly, I would like to remind you that we do not want LAPD to have drones. Nobody I've talked to does, especially me, but everybody else. We don't want it.
Hello, my name is Taru Williams. Again, I'm speaking on behalf of the family of Damien D. Jackson. I'd like information on my friend. I also was shot in my back by LAPD, even though everybody's turned a blind eye, act like it never happened. And that's why Bustamante, I want to talk to you again about, about corruption. I want police accountability, maybe even an independent prosecutor even, because I'm tired of it, injustice keep going on, prevailing. And, about the statistics and about trends and, that's about the undercolor. These laws are being broken under the color of the law. These people are hiding behind badges. And we're tired of it. And these gang injunctions, I've been to Echo Park. I love Echo Park. And the Rampart Division, we already know about the scandal at Rampart. We don't want to talk about that. And, all this, this big scandal, how 70 police officers was indicted because they were committing crimes about putting, evidence on people and, putting people up on murder charges. And, they didn't have nothing to do with that. And these guys came home innocent as well. And I don't want no spying and no drones either. We don't want no drones. I don't want no drones over my house just because I'm watering my grass. It doesn't make any sense because, the whole police department is coming on me just because I'm watering my grass because I'm suspected because I'm on a cane or I got a camera. And next thing I know, they want to take me to jail because I'm suspicious. And I want to cut my neighbor's grass. It's ridiculous. Y'all spending all this money doing this when you could be really, putting this money to the community, making a community center or making these schools better instead of building more prisons and more institutions. This is crazy. Come on, just put the money in the right place instead of putting it in your pocket. That's how I look at it. You put it in your pocket, and I'm tired of it. I'm tired of the corruption. Please put it into this. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Noemi, and I just wanted to point out that y'all didn't say anything to my friend over here, But the white boutique owner, right away, you had someone for her because she was requesting more police and more cameras. But over here, he came up twice and he didn't say anything or have anyone for him to talk to today and getting some answers for his friend who was killed. Secondly, I wanted to say that this commission has failed to represent the best interest of our communities and is a rubber stamped body. Y'all are pathetic. Have a good night. Sleep well.
Devon Williams, Nancy Flores, Robert Cristo.
Hello, my name is Davon Williams, also a youth organizer with the Youth Justice Coalition. So I'm here in disagreement with the gang injunction here in Echo Park. Although I'm not a community member of Echo Park, I live in South Central where we experience similar things. I have had family who has been impacted by gang injunctions, which in a way has impacted me. Injunctions promote family breakup, even for those who may not be put onto the injunction. Gang injunctions are a deprivation of humanity, make loss of jobs, housing, and create continual incarceration and overcrowding of jails. It's a shame that we spend more money on jails than we do schools and education. And we spend more money on locking up the community. Where do we stand and what kind of message are we sending in doing that? I want to be able to see my family, not be scared of the police, be able to have stable employment and housing. No more gang injunctions. They are not helping our community. They are making it worse. Thank you.
I'm here to speak on behalf of gang injunctions, and it's not something that the community wants. It's not something that's effective for the community. It's essentially put in place to lower violence, but what we're seeing is that Echo Park isn't experiencing high level of violence, and what gang injunctions are doing is they're profiling individuals for wearing a certain color, and then they're putting a system which they're unable to talk to family members who are ex-gang members or be in their community comfortably without fearing arrest or being frisked or stopped. So what it's doing, it's really separating the people from their community. It's separating people from their families, from people who can potentially help them. It's causing this separation, and what we need really is people from the community to give guidance to to youngsters, to people my age. I mean, what I need is somebody who's experienced violence in the community, or who's experienced, who's had years in the community talking to me about what I should be doing, how I should be moving forward in my education. And I'm just saying that I'm not for gang injunctions in Echo Park.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Robert Cristo. I'm an organizer of the Youth Justice Coalition in Los Angeles, Brown Beret. The last time I was stopped for a gang injunction was when I was walking home in high school in my safety zone. I was walking home, headed to the bus stop to go home. See, I'm sorry, the story's kind of shaky in my memory because of what happened. I didn't see the police car. I didn't see the gang at all. I heard them. I heard the engine of the car, and I heard the doors closing. I was walking with friends, calling me. All of a sudden, I heard hands in the air, face the wall, spread your legs and interlock your fingers. It became day. It was night, but the floodlights on the police car made it day. Now, I was feeling kind of calm because I knew I had no weapons or contraband on me, and I was doing a perfectly lawful activity of going to the bus stop. What really disturbed me, what was going on to the young women of color who were with me, who were doing me the favor of walking me to the bus stop at night. They were stopped, and they were being put on a gang injunction for being with me. Two friends, ungang related, were being put on a gang injunction just for standing with me. And what was even more gross is that one of the young women was pregnant, and the two gang unit officers were actually playing a guessing game about who her baby's father was. That is Hollenbach Gang Unit, and that's how they act when they stop people on a gang-related stop. Now, I thought I was safe, but I was actually wrong. It turns out I had contraband on me. I had a highlighter. A highlighter which I had used in school and was required for English class earlier. Apparently, the felt tip makes the graffiti utensil. I had to beg, a young man of color in the middle of the street, I had to beg for my freedom because I knew on that Monday I had finals and I was trying to get into college that year. Luckily, they gave me their pity and they let me go. The belief is that gang injunctions take youth away from gangs and give them education, but that is not true. That is a fallacy because a gang injunction almost costed me my education. Thank you.
Francisco Martinez, Eldeberto Flores, Michelle
My name is Francisco. I'm part of Youth Justice Coalition. And gang injustice is injustice. It affects my community for the reason that I can't walk down the street without harassment from the police asking me what gang I'm from. Just being in a gang database, I have a high risk of being incarcerated for just talking to friends. When I come on my house, I don't feel protected or served. I shouldn't even feel like that. If I can't talk to friends for the risk of being locked up, how can I encourage my friends to go back to school? Thank you.
I'm Edilberto Flores, and I'm with the Jewish Coalition and the Los Angeles Bomb Parades. So I come over here today to go ahead, and I'm against with the gang injunction right here in Echo Park. Last year we went ahead and we did a flash mob right here in Echo Park and Sunset. And so we went ahead and we went against the gang injunction. And so we come right here again fighting for this. You know, how is this? You know, you guys go ahead and talk about solutions for how can we go ahead and better our children with higher education. You guys going ahead and put in gang injunctions right here in neighborhoods that don't even need gang injunctions. They go ahead and you guys talking about right here having these meetings, and it's already a year later and you guys still haven't found a solution. How is that? You guys should go ahead and support the 1% campaign. This officer went ahead and discussing that he doesn't have a place to go ahead and put his karate kids to go ahead and practice. With the 1% campaign can go ahead and build 50 youth centers, 25,000 youth summer jobs all year round, and 500 youth builders / intervention workers right there where the youth can go ahead and have somewhere to go ahead and practice, go ahead and do something instead of going ahead being on the streets. And as well, they can go ahead and have different activities. Like this sir right here, he said, I want to go have a football team. Well, they can go ahead and that can create a football team right there. So go ahead and support the 1% campaign. I'm Edilberto Flores with the Youth Coalition of Bomb Parades.
Hello, Commission. My name is Michelle, and I'm also from Youth Justice Coalition. And I am here in opposition to the Echo Park gang injunctions. Although I am not a member of this community, I am deeply concerned that the gang injunctions will start to break down the family structure of the Echo Park community and also send more young people to jail instead of looking at the root causes, as what was done in my South Central Los Angeles community. We have gang injunctions there. And when I first heard about the gang injunctions, the question popped in my head, what is a gang injunction? So I looked up the definition, and the definition is a gang injunction is a court-issued restraining order prohibiting so-called gang members or people labeled as such from participating in certain activities, and is based off a legal theory, not facts, but a theory that gang activity prevents non-gang members from enjoying the community, and plus to stop gang activity before it reaches felony activity. Based off a theory that has not been proven and shows very, very little progress. If the Los Angeles Police Department wants to get rid of gangs, it must invest in positive actions and positive happenings, activities for youth in the community. Invest in the 1% campaign. That is the community. 1% for 50 youth centers, keeping the youth out of gangs. 500 interventionists, gang survivors, people who have experience being in gangs who can give these children firsthand knowledge of experience of why not to go into gangs. 25,000 youth jobs. Those 25,000 youth jobs will teach these children how to invest in themselves and to become self-sufficient. I am totally against gang injunctions. And for one thing that I know is that the gang that all gangs are afraid of is the Los Angeles Police Department. So if you want to If you
Thank you.
want to
Next.
pursue gang injunctions, make sure that LAPD is at the top of your list.
Next.
Haruti Parik, Jasmine C., and Viral Arlani.
Hi, greetings and good evening, everybody. My name is Kruti Parekh. I'm a mother of a 6-year-old, and I'm an organizer with the Youth Justice Coalition. This year marks my 10th anniversary of being a resident of Los Angeles. In January of 2005, I graduated from Hunter College School of Social Work, and little did I realize that I was going to get my PhD from the youth organizers at the Youth Justice Coalition. So PhD really stands for People's Health Degree. So one of my life missions, right, is to work with the police to improve community police relations. So these are some of the facts that have happened in my own life, right, in these last 10 years of being in Los Angeles. May 2005, little Susie Peña, 1.5-year-old, gets shot and killed by SWAT. May of 2007, I'm at a peaceful march, May Day, right, workers' rights, and I'm watching the Aztec dancers and LAPD motorcyclists disrupt the dance. I had a 1-year-old in my hand, and rubber bullets are flying. 2007. 2008, Special Order 1 goes into effect. 2013, Echo Park gang injunction. May 2014, drones in Los Angeles. Isel Ford and Omar Abrego get shot and killed by LAPD. I just want to remind us that a lack of accountability is really bad for police-community relations. Drones are really bad for police-community relations. Stop and frisk, secret files, surveillance, spying, suspicious activity reports, gang injunctions, really, really bad for community police relations.
Hi, my name is Veronica Ariano. I am a long-term member of Echo Park, raised here all my life. I'm against a gang injunction. I do gang intervention, and I don't get paid for what I do. I'm out here on the streets dealing with the kids, youth, their families that are being harassed by police 24/7, and one police station in particular, and that's Northeast Police Department. I hold in my hand a stack of complaints that I've sent in, that I've been following up with Internal Affairs, and all my complaints come back to me unfounded. Not once have I got a phone call or somebody coming knocking on my door telling me that they're following up with an investigation. December 2013, I had police officers from the Northeast Police Station lurking around my apartments. Since this gang injunction's been in place, I've been harassed because my mouth has been out there speaking about the injustice against these police stations, the police in general. I filed complaints. I can talk and talk till I'm blue in the face, and I know I'm not going to get nowhere. I took this time as an opportunity to be here and address, and maybe hopefully one of you, shed some light on somebody on what's going on here. I live in fear. I have to put wood on my doors because I don't know what these police are up to. There's 7 people that are facing life murder sentence right now because of Northeast Police Station. Falsely accused them. And we've been filing complaints against this police station since 2009, before this gang injunction went in place. And it all started off with Bobby Hill, one corrupt officer. A corrupt officer from the 77 Division that filed a lawsuit on his own people and won twice, $4 million. And this harassment started since 2009. When the injunction came on, my family has been harassed. I've been displaced. I've been pushed, shoved. I've been monitored, and they come to my house every day. I want answers to why nobody's contacted me against all my complaints. And Charlie Beck, some of the signatures are yours.
Okay, my name's Leslie, or Jasmine. I'm not a gang member, nor do I have a record. I'm against also the injunction. I lived in Echo Park for a while. I work with wraparound program with kids who are on probation, who I think benefit from programs like this, who need this. I was a witness to a crime last year, and Northeast Police came to me and said that if I did not say what needed to be said, hinting towards convicting an innocent person who I did not see at the crime scene, things would fall back on me. I live in fear because of this. Walking into this room was panic for me because I was around police officers. Before living in this area, I never feared officers, and now I truly fear that they're capable of ruining what I have going if it's for one conviction. I honestly, that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Abraham Kalunga, Donisha Thomas, Maria Sipin.
Good afternoon. I'm Abraham Kalunga. I'm with the Youth Justice Coalition, and I'm a peace builder and gang interventions. And gang injunctions don't work. I mean, I've been giving back to the community I once took from. I was a big part of that problem at one point in time. But now that I'm giving back, just because of who I am, my mom's under the gang injunction. I've gone to take my daughter to school, and I've gone to jail for 90 days for being on the injunction just because somebody was handcuffed and said hi to me. Second thing, I tried to throw a birthday party for my daughter at the park, and what ended up happening was the cops knew who I was, said I didn't belong in the park, and, well, they made us pack up and leave. Another thing is that now that I'm giving back, this gang injunction, to my understanding, has no removal process. I'm about to get off parole, I'm about to get off probation, and I've been in my recovery and giving back, but that stems me from doing what I want to do. And that's give back to the community I once took from. So I don't know the answers. I don't have any answers from you guys, but I know that what I got to say and what I have to offer to the community is more than what you guys have to offer. Thank you.
Hello. My name is Donisha Thomas. I'm an organizer with the Youth Justice Coalition, and I'm against gang injunctions. Gang injunctions are nothing more than group restraining orders enabling law enforcement to prosecute, arrest, and incarcerate people for non-criminal acts, like attending a family event or a funeral service for a childhood friend can easily get someone a conviction, which not only means that injunctions are isolating individuals, but also disconnecting families. It's sad that I have family members that are restricted from going to family events due to locations and the people that will be attending it. Considering that there's no money being funded into youth development programs, or communities may not provide centers for youth, a simple basketball game on the block can turn into someone being arrested or detained for nothing, which is exactly why the YJC is in full support of the 1% campaign, which will direct 1% of LAPD's budget to 50 youth centers, 25,000 youth jobs, and 500 gang intervention workers, formerly known as peace builders.
Good evening. My name is Maria Sipin, and I'm a volunteer for Multicultural Communities for Mobility. By the way, great comments about gang injunctions. I too oppose them, but I'm talking about something else tonight. At any point of your day, do you walk, bike, or move around in your neighborhoods without a car? Do you care about someone who does? Please get on board with Vision Zero and Complete Streets. Please increase your commitment to protect the rights and well-being of vulnerable road users. Pay attention on the road, report hit and runs, pursue these cases, and know that people on bikes have rights. Talk with us, ride with us, work with advocacy groups everywhere. We need data, we need action, and we need compassion for people who are injured and killed walking or riding bikes. One thing you can do this month is to support Women Bike, Women Lead. It's a bike ride that I'm leading starting at City Hall on February 21st. For any of you who's been interested in knowing what it's like to feel vulnerable on the road, please join us on this ride and please support Women Bike, Women Lead and the work of many coalitions who are so dedicated to making sure that people who walk, bike, and use public transportation are respected on the road and that their lives matter. And one final thing is, it is not solution focused to blame me or anyone who walks or bikes for getting hit by a car wearing black. Like officers or anyone saying like, you know what, you should be wearing orange blinking Christmas tree clothes when you're biking. It's your fault you got hit by a car. But you know what? I think we need to enforce stricter laws and to watch out for people who are just trying to get to work, trying to bike, trying to get to school and just do something with their lives. Thank you.
The last 12 speakers, we have Sam Okonocholski, Francis Tran, Hamid Khan,
My name is not Sam, it's Isaac Kopnichowski, and I'm not here to speak to the commission today. I'm here to speak to those members of the public that came here with a longing to get involved with the community. And I want to say to everybody that the police commission have proved to them the police have proved themselves to be a violent criminal organization that does not care about what we say, think, and feel. They're proving me right now.
Next.
Okay? They don't care what we say, think, and feel. And only hold events like this to brainwash us into thinking that they do. They kill, beat, and torture people in the streets every damn day and lie about it later at places like this. I want to tell you that there is hope and you will be heard. Find out more about different community organizations here in LA, like Stop LAPD Spine Coalition, LA CAN, Youth Justice Coalition, Revolutionary Autonomous Communities, and talk to us and see what we do. Get involved. Unless y'all are satisfied with going to clown meetings like this and just sitting here for 2 hours and doing that and call that community organization.
Welcome.
Hi, my name is Frances, and I'm a community member. The first thing I'd like to say is I walked into this community meeting and it felt inherently unsafe being surrounded by guns, and I still feel a little unsafe. But with that said, I'm part of the Silver Lake Neighborhood Council. I've been working with the public safety. I'm a co-chair of the Transportation and Public Works, and I'm actually a scientist here in LA looking to empower young scientists and in STEM and improve our research in general. And so in that, I really believe that we need to invest in education and ground up transformative communities when we're talking about safety. I feel like we've isolated power and given away our responsibility to a centralized militarization of the police. You've mentioned this earlier that LAPD, or more specifically Los Angeles, should be leading the country, and it does in policy. And if we're doing that, we need to reevaluate the type of policies we're doing. We need to decentralize power and redistribute funds, resources, and innovation to community members, and we need to invest in things like the community garden here in Silver Lake and in Echo Park. We need to educate through hands-on, ground-up work, and we need another thing that's been inherently wrong is the policies that have been in place with the gang injunction and with surveillance. A lot of these policies are really dubious at best, and when you're talking about policies that are going to criminalize people, that are going to take away human rights, discrimination, and lead to discrimination and racism, and walks us away from our own humanity, then we really need to reevaluate that. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Hamid Khan with the Stop LAPD Spying Coalition. I just want to ask people, stand up if you're against surveillance, spying, and infiltration and secret files. I want to remind the audience about the shameful display of power and prejudice that we saw last week on January 27th, and I'm looking directly at Alex Bustamante, who just completely denied the clear evidence of racial profiling that came out of a SAR audit that Bustamante did. And looking at the numbers, and here's the audit that I'm looking at, and what the numbers show is that the total number of SARs, whether they were founded or unfounded, were 155, and the city's population is 44% white and 9.6 black. So let's keep that in mind. But yet what it showed was that 30% of those SARs, total SARs, which have race data, were open on white people, and 25% of total were open on black people. Now imagine 30% out of a 44% population, 25% out of a 9.6 population. So clearly there's a racial profiling evidence that is going on. But when you look at those SARs that were sent to the fusion centers, they were like 30% were on black folks, and when you look at those numbers, it was 3-to-1 margin. And when you look at black women, When you look at black women, of the total SARS, 40% of those total SARS on women were opened up on black women. That's a 4-to-1 margin. And Commissioner Kim, you were asking those questions. You're a professor of law. I mean, we don't trust Steve Soboroff at all, but at least yourself and Professor Salzman, at least the two of you can take some action. That when he had the gall to come back and say, and shamefully say that, oh, these are just statistical numbers, but talk to the people whose families are going into these secret databases. Talk to the people who are being racially profiled. Talk to the black women who overwhelmingly show evidence that, this is what is going on. So we demand a thorough investigation. We demand a complete, disbandment of Special Order 11, Special Order 17, and Special Order 1. You got to completely terminate the iWatch program because 81% of these SARS came from private individuals. So you're creating a culture of suspicion and fear, and you're promoting racial profiling. Thank you.
Jamie Garcia, Joy T, and Irene.
What was the other name? Hi, my name is Jamie. I'm with the Stop LAPD Spying Coalition. So I'm also going to speak in regards to the audit that was released just last week on suspicious activity reporting. And there were some pamphlets handed out because I know a lot of people don't know that this suspicious activity reporting is actually going on or what the extent of it is and how it actually operates. So it's really frustrating to hear that there was a blatant denial of any racial profiling occurring within the suspicious activity reporting program. So again, to repeat what Hamid Khan just stated, is that LA City has a total of 44% of individuals identified as white. 30% of the SARS were opened on these persons identified as white. The city of Los Angeles has a total of 10%, maybe just a little bit under population of African Americans, and 30% of SARS were collected on persons identified as black in this audit. How does the commission have the audacity to claim that there is no racial profiling? Then to add insult to injury, Inspector General Bustamante states a rigorous investigation would be needed to assert this. The overall structure of surveillance programs impacts our community by collecting data on non-criminal behaviors. Suspicious activity reporting lowers the standard of guilt by introducing reasonable indication, no longer innocent till proven guilty. The use of pseudoscience of behavioral surveillance allows police officers to presume who is a criminal through non-criminal behaviors like taking a photograph or drawing in public, just living our daily lives. Refusing to do a rigorous analysis is a complete disregard for the community's safety and growth, especially during a time when there is a public outcry for change. We need real structural analysis on programs to understand why police get away with killing our community. Who will be the next African American child that will be killed by an officer because, based on his presumption, there was reasonable indication that there was a threat? One African American is killed every 28 hours by those who claim to protect us. Your neglect to provide us with rigorous analysis is unacceptable, and for the commission to sit and allow this to happen is a complete rejection of your duty. So understand there is racial profiling going on. I've said it before. I've said it loudly. When are you going to do your job?
My name is Jyoti Chand, and I'm also a member of the Stop LAPD Spying Coalition. Before I continue, Steve, it's really obvious that really the only people that you pay attention to and show any regard and respect to are people that agree with you. You have no respect for us, and we all know that. So all of you, actually, every single one of you up there, you should be really ashamed of yourself for orchestrating a meeting earlier on, using the young people of color in our community to create a facade and a complete delusion that your interest lies in protecting the young people. We know that you're lying. That is really contrary to the facts. While at the same time, you're using a majority of your budget, and this is about 54% of the city's unrestricted budget, to expand hyper-militarization of LAPD and to expand all of your human and electronic surveillance programs. We've heard about the suspicious activity reporting program, trap wires, stingrays, high-definition cameras. Now you have all these other cameras that you want officers to use, gang databases, injunctions, automatic license plate readers, Joint Terrorism Task Force. And again, what are you going to do about the drones? We've told you we don't want drones in our community. Today, as Hamid had mentioned, I want to ask you, what are you going to do about your lies? Last week, again, denying that, the SARS audit, right, even though it revealed that you're totally racially profiling us. A disproportionate number of these audits are done on African Americans. This is total racial profiling. What are you going to do about that? What are you going to do? Do any of you have anything to say about it? You have nothing to say, right? You're a joke. And again, to come here and have all the young people out here, you should really, you should be ashamed of yourselves.
Hello, my name is Irene, and I'm addressing more to Sandra. She knows me personally. The gang injunction is very close to me because I'm mentioned all in their gang injunction. I own a home in Echo Park, and I've had my home for 14 years, me and my husband. Because we're Hispanic and we own the home, and because he is an ex-gang member, that means that we must be doing things that own the home. So in the gang injunction, my house is the gang house, and we sell drugs and we sell guns. Never did it mention that I've been a supervisor at my job for 26 years. My husband was a welder for 7 years and a supervisor. Between our combined income, we made over $100,000 a year. We got the house with money. Everything we own has been with credit, like everybody does with credit. My son is constantly harassed by Northeast Police Station because his father was a gang member. That means he's a gang member. Never once has it ever said that my son is a high school graduate from a college prep high school. The reason he couldn't go on to college is because of financial burden with all the bails and the constant money that we have to be putting out, to be bailing everybody out, paying for attorneys. My son cannot go outside without being harassed. He throws the trash, LAPD is coming, dragging him from the outside the house. I put complaints. I've made complaints with Sergeant Ariano. Nothing never gets done. Constantly. My son's been arrested 3 times. When we go to court, the evidence is always misplaced, not founded. The evidence is there. But there I am hiring an attorney. The first words out of their mouth when they arrest my son is mommy going to bail you out? We going to make her spend more money? And then they want to sit there and talk to him about his father. My daughter can't drive down the street because they're stopping her because they want to talk to her about her father. LAPD did not make both my children graduate. My daughter works full-time. She's a high school graduate and is going to college, and she's paying for it on her own because I can't help her. My son works full-time. He's a high school graduate, and my last daughter is going to college prep school. I've done that. Me and my husband have done that. And I'm asking you to look into Northeast Gang Unit. That's the gang unit we're always dealing with. Constantly. I've made numerous complaints. Nothing never happens.
Thank you.
Esteban Gill, Nanette, Joshua Clark.
Good evening. My name is Esteban. I work over here in Silver Lake, and it's relevant that we're here in Echo Park tonight. Mr. Nkrumah's already spoken, president of the Echo Park Neighborhood Council, as well as the Rampart Village Neighborhood Council, have both voted overwhelmingly to oppose not just the gang injunctions, but also suspicious activity reporting by the LAPD and the recently acquired drones by the LAPD. We're seeing an increasing reliance on a style of policing centered around data collection, information gathering, surveillance, and general increasing intrusion into our lives, and mirroring the military and counterinsurgency programs used abroad to repress and murder people on behalf of this government. But now these policies are being brought home. This truly is a war at home. I think we've all heard it said over and over again, but the key to community safety is redefining that safety, and safety is in resources. 55% of the city's unrestricted budget is going to the LAPD. This is a waste of resources. You want to keep kids out of gangs, you want to keep kids educated, well then schools need money. After school programs need money. Starting salary for a police officer, mind you, these are people who do not need a college education, is $57,000 a year, while college graduates are graduating with $100,000 worth of debt and can't get a job that isn't at a bar or at a cafe. So there's clearly an imbalance here, and we need to keep speaking about it, and we need to challenge these priorities. The money is there. We can have a healthy society, a socially equitable society, but it's in the wrong places.
Hello, my name is Nanette. I am 44 years old. I am a resident of Echo Park, and I've been there the majority of my life. I'm a certified nurse's assistant. I do not have a criminal record, and I work at a reputable hospital. My complaint is to you, Chief Beck. I have been constantly harassed by the Northeast Police Department gang unit because my son has been pointed out as a gang member. I have been pulled over, handcuffed, and keep in mind, I do not have a criminal record, been handcuffed next to him, given frivolous tickets for excessive honking, and now my son is under investigation on a certain criminal case. My phone is being tapped. The police now know my social security number, my account number, my credit card holders, personal information that I speak with my health, with my doctors. They're constantly harassing me. They're going over my house. The Air Patrol are constantly going over my house. I have a 4-year-old that I'm trying to support as a single parent as well and put through school. My only fear is my son is 10 years away from being 12 years old. Is he also going to be harassed? Is he also going to get beaten by the Northeast Police gang officers? Because I have witnessed my sons being beaten the majority of their juvenile lives by these officers. So I ask you, Chief Beck, to please help me. And I do have complaints here that have gone unresponded. So I ask you, please, if you can help. A resident who is also a taxpayer, who does not have a criminal record, and who obeys the laws and follows the rules. Can you please do that? Can you please assign me an officer like you did the woman before to take care of these issues?
Commander Arcos, will you get her? Commander Arcos, get her the information.
Joshua Clark.
Good evening. Thank you for listening. I was fortunate enough to participate in many of the Black Lives Matter protests and marches that took place in the city. I would like to say that all of the officers that I interacted with during that time were courteous and respectful, and more than helpful. There's been a movement in cities across the country to require police officers to carry professional liability insurance, just as any doctor or lawyer would as well, the cost of which would be covered by the city, and any overages would be on the responsibility of the officers, but those would only come from issues of misconduct or anything like that. I'm not sure if that's something that is feasible in the city of Los Angeles, but it's something that could help promote accountability and increase officer trust between officers and citizens. Again, I don't know if that could work, but I definitely think that's something that this commission and the LAPD should consider.
Thank you, sir.
The last 4 speakers, Jim McQuiston, Mr. Kwasi Nkrumah, Brandy Brown, and James.
Jim McQuiston. I've listened carefully to all the comments tonight, and I do want to say, from a CPAB standpoint, the CPAB is Civilian Police Advisory Board. That means if you come to the CPAB meetings, you can give the police some advice. And that doesn't mean just complaints. You got to figure out a solution. That's the hard part. All of us are trying to make the world better. Some of us succeed, some of us fail miserably. Those that fail miserably are not being helped because people are not coming out and giving them good advice. And my suggestion to all of you is, come on out, first Tuesday of the month. Now, I was kicked out of Hollywood CPAB because they didn't want anybody from East Hollywood in the Hollywood CPAB. But I had a residence. We've had a residence for 95 years in Rampart area. And so I came to Rampart, and I was very impressed with the Rampart. So come on out, give them some instruction. If you can figure out what to do, they'd certainly love to have you.
Evening. My name is Brandy Brown. I'm from the Youth Justice Coalition. I just got to point out because it's crazy to me. The lady was just went to approach you guys. First thing he did was I'm surprised he didn't put his hand on his gun, but he put it on his mace. He was ready to mace her just because she wanted to ask you guys a question. But although why I'm here tonight is because my family was affected by the gang injunctions. Back in 2008, my brother was killed. And I remember having a candlelight visual for my brother. The people came back and tried to shoot us, but their gun got jammed. I remember somebody in my family called the police to help us, and the police told us, don't worry, they had the people that came and tried to shoot us. And once we got there, the people they had was some of my family members that was on the gang injunctions, and they was taken to jail after we told them they was out there with us, and they didn't do anything. But because they was around each other, they was not able to attend my brother's services. That broke my family even more because we're dealing with a loss, but then here it is, we have to take 3 more losses because you guys can't understand that when people do make mistakes in their past, but when they try to come together for a good reason, for a family member getting killed, you guys still take them to jail and take them away from us. And I watched how that hurted my mother and how that hurted my family because my brother was the first young person in our family to get killed. And after that, you guys took more people away from families and stuff. So I'm out here with everybody tonight that's encouraging these gang you guys know what I'm trying to say, need to be up out of here because it don't make no sense. It's stupid. It's steady breaking our families up. I have a 2-year-old daughter, and I don't want to see my daughter go through half of the stuff that I've seen. So whoever is in charge up here, all y'all need to come together and get on the same note and see that we're not playing, that this is really affecting our families, and we having kids, and I don't want my kids to go through the same stuff that I've been through. So please do something right for once in your life.
Hey, so my name is James. I'm a board member on the Silver Lake Neighborhood Council, and I'm the chair of public safety there. And just a little bit of insight. So at Silver Lake, at the last voting that we had, 3 times as many people came to vote, 3 times more than any other time that has been voted in Silver Lake, period. And they voted for folks like me who were like there when STAY chose its name, that are here to resist the gang injunction and really like racial profiling and white supremacy in general. But I just want to say to you guys and publicly, because it was worked hard on, that the Silver Lake Neighborhood Council passed a motion to reject the gang injunction and says it doesn't make our community safe. It doesn't. It leads to Black and brown youth being targeted. And as a community who cares about Black and brown youth, we feel like it's important to say that out loud, that that's not appropriate in our communities. It doesn't represent the kind of community that we want. We've also passed a motion to rescind Special Order 1 and the iWatch program. And just in general around surveillance, I mean, I know that there's like a lot of talk around body cameras and all that. And, I think that accountability is really important, and Lord knows that the police are really interested in accountability. And I think that the issue is that they're not accountable. And I think that that's what all of us want. We want to be able to trust each other. And if only some of us are accountable and the other aren't, then there is no accountability. Then that's just bullying. I work as a therapist, and I do a parenting practice group at Mitchell-Terrene Elementary every Tuesday at 8:30. And parents come and ask me, like, so James, like, what's this with bullying? Like, how do we stop that and all this? And I say, I mean, like, we have cages that we fill with people. Like, that's why we have bullying. There's an overall culture of violence that is like Americana. And we see it in like all of the folks with guns here. There's as many of us with guns as with not. And like, that's really violent and dangerous.
The last 2 speakers, Mr. Kwasi Nkrumah in Rio.
Well, again, I think that, a lot of us don't expect the police to be social workers. I'm less concerned about the police giving out turkeys on Thanksgiving than on them simply doing their job, being accountable, being transparent, and actually protecting and serving the people they're supposed to protect and serve. If that's actually happening, you don't have to do public relations. You really don't. You don't have to win a community over because it's a done deal. So, we have just passed Dr. King's birthday. I think it was his 86th anniversary of his birth. And as you all know, because I've been down to Police Commission, I'm also the co-chair of the Martin Luther King Coalition here in Los Angeles. And, the last years of Dr. King's life, he talked about this and hammered this issue over and over again. And it was largely in relationship to the Vietnam War, but also in relationship to how the issue of urban rebellions was being dealt with. And what he said is that what people call a riot is actually the response of people who are not being heard. And we're in a very dangerous situation in this country, I feel, because it's become part of the process of things for people not to really be heard. If you are a business person or you have a lot of money, you're likely to be able to use that leverage, as a couple of people have said, to get the things done that you need done. If you're not in that set, you're kind of out there hanging on your own, and that needs to be turned around. We've got to find a different kind of way to solve our problems, both at home and abroad. Physical force is not going to do it. There has to be another kind of force that we're building our society on. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Rio Contreras. I'm here. I was born and raised here in Echo Park. I'm from Stay, but I also serve part of the board here, the neighborhood council here, and I chair the public safety committee. I'm here because the police commissioner is what I supposedly here is supposed to hold the police accountable. And right there, what just happened right there, nobody stood up for me and held them accountable. I was just asking a question. It's not there's like a little person right there standing there waiting for questions to be answered, and nobody stood up and said, hey, don't put your hands on that person that just stood up there, because clearly I was not coming in with any violence. I was just trying to get myself to speak. So please actually do your job to hold police accountable. That's what I'm here to speak about, is that there's a lack of accountability being placed on police officers. They can just go out there and be racist, kill people, and imprison people just because of the color of their skin or their class location. So I'm here to speak against all of that. And also here standing in Echo Park, also to resist the displacement that's happening here. I'm so disgusted by how the police is used as a tool to gentrify this community even further. That's disgusting. I don't like that. I don't like that the gang injunction is being used as a tool of gentrification. I don't like that street vendors are being harassed, even though all they're doing is having a dignified life and a living and getting their cards thrown away for them. This is disgusting. This is how people are making a living and a life. And how are we expecting people to make dignified lives if they can't even do it legally? And so I'm also really disgusted by the fact that cops are allowed to criminalize some crimes and legalize others, right? So for me, an eviction is a crime. When people are getting evicted, that is causing severe trauma and pain to our community, and yet nothing is being done to hold those people accountable. And instead, the person that just might have stolen something from the liquor store is being hammered really hard. So I'm against all of that, and definitely not into the body cameras at all. So thank you very much. Please hold your police accountable.
Item number 9, closing comments. Mr. President, do we have any? We have a motion to adjourn.
Second? All in favor?
Hi, I'm Cindy, and I'm in Little Tokyo, and you're watching Channel 35, Your City, Your Channel.
What if a disaster strikes without warning? What if life as you know it has completely turned on its head?